Sometimes the weight of unspoken thoughts about a mother feels heavier than any words could ever express. The quiet conflict within me is both my burden and my story. I carry emotions so deep, they often feel like an ocean I can't swim in. It's a strange kind of sorrow, one that lingers but never truly fades. There are moments when I question the silence between us, wondering if the gap in our relationship was formed by time or by the sharp edges of unspoken truths. I find myself constantly reflecting on our relationship, feeling torn between love, resentment, and the yearning for understanding that seems forever out of reach. Every interaction feels like walking through a fog, part of me hoping for clarity, but also fearing what that clarity might reveal about the past. My thoughts swirl like a storm, each feeling competing for attention, yet no resolution comes. The complexity of love and pain feels impossible to untangle. Sometimes the memories of her warmth feel like a distant dream, while others are so sharp they cut through my mind like a blade. It's the push and pull of something so hard to define. In the quiet of my thoughts, I find myself grappling with the desire to heal and the instinct to protect myself from past wounds. I'm learning to navigate the space between both. I think of her and feel both an overwhelming sense of longing and a deep sadness that I can't seem to shake, as if my heart can never fully accept or reject the truth of who we are to each other. Love should feel like warmth, but sometimes it feels more like an open wound, constantly raw, forever sensitive, and hard to touch without pain. I've spent countless hours searching for answers in my mind, trying to understand the source of my feelings. But some questions never seem to have an answer that brings peace. Some days, I crave the connection we once had, while other days, I wonder if that connection ever existed at all, or if it was just a story I told myself to ease the pain. The distance between us isn't just physical, it's a gap in understanding, in the ability to communicate, and in the space where love should have been. I often wonder if there's something wrong with me for feeling this way, but then I realize that emotions don't need to be justified. They simply are. There's a heaviness in my chest every time I think of her. Part of me wants to forgive, but another part fears that forgiveness will mean giving up the space I've built to protect myself. What do you do when your love feels tainted by the very person you should trust most? It's a strange and painful thing to love someone whose actions you can't reconcile with your heart. I've realized that sometimes the pain of a relationship doesn't come from the things that were said, but from the things that were left unsaid buried under layers of time and silence. The complicated truth is that I both want and don't want to heal. Healing would mean facing the truths that scare me, but without it, I remain trapped in a cycle of unresolved feelings. There are days when I wish I could go back to being the child who needed her, but I've grown into a person who needs to find her own way, away from the shadows of her influence. How do you reconcile love with the sharp edges of disappointment? How do you heal from a relationship that was both a source of comfort and pain? I keep my distance not because I don't care, but because I fear the vulnerability that comes with caring too much, especially when that care feels so unreciprocated. Every day, I remind myself that it's okay to feel what I feel, even if it doesn't make sense. My emotions don't need to fit into a neat box. They are a part of me, and I accept them. The hardest thing to admit is that sometimes loving someone means accepting that they may never be able to give you what you need, no matter how much you wish they could. I don't know how to let go of a past that still feels so present, so alive in my thoughts. It's like trying to move forward while the past clings to my ankles, holding me back. I've learned that sometimes the love you receive from others doesn't always look like what you expect. It can be messy, complicated, and sometimes even painful, but it's still love. My heart aches for a version of her that never existed, a mother who could have been what I needed her to be, but was never able to fulfill that role. There are nights when I question everything, what could have been different, what I could have done, or if I'm simply a victim of circumstances beyond my control. I wish there was a way to fix the cracks in our relationship, but some things are too broken to repair. Still, I hold on to the hope that I can heal, even if she never does. The most difficult part of love is realizing that it doesn't always look the way you thought it would. And sometimes the person you love can hurt you in ways you never imagined.